There we go. Now you should be able to hear me. All right, everybody. Hello again. This is Derek, aka Mr. Everything, and I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming weekly video. As you can see, I've got some Napoleonic British and French artillery. I've also got a couple of Napoleonic generals here. And let me pull up my web camera software. I need to turn off the autofocus so that it doesn't constantly go in and out. So it doesn't go. Okay, autofocus is off, locked in. We should be good to go. Okay, so be what's the word I'm looking for? If you want to chat, please do. Because I'm going to be painting and my focus is going to be on the figures, my focus is not necessarily going to be on the chat. So just understand that there might be a little delay between me responding to any chats that are up. All right, so if you haven't been to any of these Wargaming Weekly videos, what they are just me sharing what I'm doing, what I'm working on, my thought process, whatever. I have something in my mouth right now because I'm actually medicating. It's a chewable, so it should be gone here pretty soon. I talk about paints, we talk about projects that I'm thinking about starting or what projects I finished. Talk about the store, we talk about the website, we talk about whatever computer games I'm working on or planning on playing. Basically, it's just 2 hours of me on here just chatting with my community, responding to questions you might have of me, etc., etc. And the stream looks like it's going pretty well. The microphone looks like it's picking up my voice. We should be good to go. Okay, so what I'm planning on painting today are 2 British foot guns with crew, 1 horse gun with crew, and then 2 French guns with crew. And a little bit on these generals. I pulled out a selection of paints that I think I'm going to be using or needed to paint all these. Before we started the stream, I just finished helping my wife load her van with a bunch of food and clothing, and she's in an organization for medieval reenactments. It's called the Society for Creative Anachronisms, or SCA, and just like 2 weeks ago, she just got elevated to Baroness, which I think is pretty cool. But she is going to be going to an event this weekend where she's going to try to sell some of her garb, like dresses and things like that she has created over the years that she probably can't fit in anymore. because she's gained a little bit of girth. And And I think she just enjoys sewing, so she might have just created some just for selling, and but she's also involved in the feast, and so she needed to pack up a bunch of spices and food and stuff like that. So all of that was loaded this morning. I was planning on starting this stream at 11 like I normally do, but earlier this morning, uh, she commented that she wasn't going to be leaving until later. And so that's why I changed the time of the stream to a later time so that it wouldn't interfere with me loading, or I should say, helping her load. She did most of the loading. Um, it's a beautiful day outside. We have a back door open. So if you hear a lot of noise outside, that's because of that. Um, all right. So last week, or just yesterday actually, I is when I finished it, but I've been working on it all last week. I was planning on starting these last week. Excuse me. Okay, that medication is gone. Okay, I planned on starting these last week, so I based them up. I cleaned them. I based them up. I primed them, got ready to go, and then I got my final payment in for. Let me rephrase that. I say final because there was a commission that was split into two halves. Well, I finally got that commission paid for, and so I shipped out that commission. But what that means is this customer of mine, this client, had a number of commissions, and he had one final commission that needed to be done. But I don't ever, if you've got multiple commissions with me, I don't start any of your secondary commissions until the first commission is paid for. And so, but as soon as he paid, I said, okay, he paid. So that means I got to put this on hold and I need to ship that out. But then what that means is now, internally, morally, I felt, okay, now I'm obligated to go ahead and finish his secondary commission, which I did. It took me a week. Yesterday I had finished it, notified him that his commission is finished. But what that allows me to do now is go back to work on projects that are going to be going up on the store. Okay, my eBay store. Now, as part of his commission, I also put a little side hustle in there. I included a couple more Jeeps because he had a Jeep in the commission. I figured, if I put a couple more Jeeps in there, I'll be able to get them all done at the same time. So right now there are some U.S. Warlord Games Jeeps set up as a commission. Now I do have something I want to say negatively about. Well, it's not a negative. It is a negative, but it's not unfounded. It's not. I'm not upset about it. Let's just say that it's a negative, but I understand what's happening. Warlord Games. I do business with Warlord Games, and I put an order in, and I have terms. Okay, these terms are 30, 60, 90, right? So there is a 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. There is an amount. So I put an order in, I get it shipped in. There is a problem with the order, but that gets resolved. So I get the basically I get the crew members for the anti-tank gun. I get that in. I paint those up, put them on the store and everything. That's all fine. But I don't have to pay the bill until the end of the month, right? The 30th of the month. And then, or I should say, it becomes late if I don't pay it by the 30th, right? Okay, that's understandable. Everybody understands that. So the 30th comes around and goes, and it's now what, the 14th? Okay, it's the 14th, but something like the 10th or so, I well, actually, let me back up. Like the 11th or 12th, something like that, I was thinking to myself, crap, I'm late. I need to go ahead and get this taken care of. I need to pay this, right? So I log in to make the payment, which sometimes, and this is what when I first started business with them, I would pay like half of the bill, and then the second half of the bill I would pay in the second month, because I'm supposed to have 30, 60, and 90, like a three payment process. And I normally get it taken care of in the second payment. I do half and half, usually. And so by 60 days, it's all paid off. But in this case, on the 10th, I said, okay, I better get to it. I better pay it. I better give them half their money or whatever, the 30-day payment. And I log into my bank account to ensure everything is good to go. And there is a charge by Warlord Games on my account, my bank account, for the full amount. Which I understand that they want their money, but they need to let me know that they're going to charge my account. Or at least they need to communicate with me in some way that they're going to bill me like that, because they put an unnecessary strain on my account, which if hypothetically, if there wasn't enough money in the bank and they charged it and that put me in the negative, hypothetically, that would possibly give him, and then with all the purchases I make every frickin' day, I make probably 5 different purchases every day of something, every one of those could have had a late fee or something, right? And because years ago when I was younger and I had no money in the bank, struggling, up and coming, starving artist kind of deal, living paycheck to paycheck or what have you, you could go past your balance accidentally, and then they charge, like, for every charge after that, causing your negative to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the negatives. And luckily this didn't happen to me this time, but I'm gun shy when it comes to people charging my account without my knowledge. Now I understand it is their money, and because I got their product, I owed them the money. I get that. What I'm upset about is how they got their money, not that they were going to get their money, because they were going to get their money. I was going to pay them. That's not a problem. But by waiting till the 10th or the 11th, I'm not exactly sure what day they charged my account. Maybe and there has not been any communication as of today, but I have a feeling that they felt that they hadn't gotten their first payment by the 30th, which is normally what I do. Is normally I'll make the first payment by the 30th, and then the second payment by the 60th. But because it was the 50th, or the 10 days after the 30th, that they just decided to do the full amount, and that kind of doesn't sit right with me. That made me feel like they were Games Workshop and not Warlord Games. I don't know. That's just something that is like sitting in the back of my mind. Yeah, so right now, because they charge the full amount, I'm gonna have to tell everybody money's tight right now. So so if you want, go to ebay.com, go to Wargaming in Miniature, my store, and check out and see if there's anything on there that you want. And that brings up another subject. Knowing that I was going to need money to pay Warlord Games, I already knew that. I was planning on paying them on the 30th, but I had gone into my eBay store and lowered all the prices, right? So currently, this month, April, the product is marked probably below cost. So some of it is not so much. Specifically, stuff that I've already opened and painted. That stuff is I'm going to charge cost plus labor, but that labor cost, instead of it, hypothetically, I'm just throwing numbers out off the top of my head. Let's say there was an item that cost $30, like I don't know, a tank, let's say, and I normally charge, I don't know, let's say $25 on top of that to paint it. So let's assemble it, glue it all together, prime it, paint it, wash it, decals, all that stuff. So normally that would cost what, about $55? What is that? 30 plus 30 for the cost of the tank, and then 25 for the painting, about $55. I'm just using that as an example because my numbers could be off. I normally do math based on the tank and based on how much actual work went into it. But let's say there's a $55 item last month was on there. I lowered it. It's probably about $45 right now. So it is still more than the $30 I paid for it. But my labor cost got, because I wanted to move some product. So if you're interested in some models painted or still new in the box, I would go check out my store because the prices have all been lowered for this month. So, yeah. I finished those 2 British battalions. They're up on the shelf. I finished the commission, which included some Jeeps, and those are up on the shelf. And so now I'm going to dive into these. Okay, I need to change my glasses because these are my computer. The distance between my chair and the monitors, those glasses work really well. But for painting, I need to swap out my glasses. Now, I do have an anecdote about my glasses. A few days ago, one of my the glasses that I use, I'll call them my computer glasses. My computer glasses, one of the arms or whatever these things are called, bent back. Yeah, it went from one. Yeah, there we go. Went from straight up and down like this. It bent like 45 degrees, and it had cracked. So I put some Elmer's glue on it. Not Elmer's glue. I put some super glue on it, sealed it up, let it sit off to the side for a day, and then but in the meantime, I was like, I have no glasses for the computer, so I went through all my old glasses, because I've got on the computer desk right now, I probably have 15 pairs of glasses. 3 of them are broken, that's for sure. That one is glued. But I have a bunch of older glasses that are the wrong prescription at this time. So they just don't have the right, magnification. But so what I went through them and I was like, is there anything that'll do? And I found these, and these are actually perfect. When I put them on, the computer screens are like clear as day. So, yeah. And these are 2.5, just so you know. Okay, so these are a little bit stronger magnification, like a 4.5. Maybe, yeah, like a 4.5. And that's what I used to paint. Okay, now I tried to organize my paints in a line, and this is what I do this for every project, just so you know. If you're planning on doing any painting, or you just are curious about how I go through my process, what I do is I have a short time, like maybe an hour of my that's actually quite a long time, actually, if you think about it. But I spend about an hour visualizing how I'm going to paint the models. I say, okay, what am I going to do first? Well, I'm going to do this color first, okay, and then I'll pull it out and I'll put it down, and then I'll say, okay, from there, what do I do? I'll do this, and then what other colors do I need? Like this blue and the red, I probably already pulled out. That's on the table. And then I said, okay, I'm going to need this color, I'm going to need this color, and I'll pull them all out. And then I will go through and visualize when in the process am I going to use that color. And then so what I do is I put them in an order or a line of, this is how I'm going to do it. And so we're going to start reading left to right. We're going to start, and we're going to go ahead and get going. Okay, so now the French artillery. Oh, okay. Also, another thing. I'm going to be doing some speed painting today. I've decided that this artillery is going to be done el rapido or rapido. El fasto. Sorry. Okay, BBTP. This is AK light green. Okay, we're doing a speed painting. So you know what that means? Big, huge brushes. And they don't have to be accurate, okay? Or they don't have to have a fine point. Okay. I'm noticing this AK that I just squeezed out of the bottle is a little thin, so don't need a whole lot of water to thin it out even more. And you'll notice that I'm not going for any details. Base coating, I don't go for details. You do the detailing on your second pass. And in some models, I don't even have second passes. I just fly. So what I'm going to try to do is just, like I said, just go through this and paint it as fast as I can. Even the crew. I was about to call them soldiers, but technically they're not soldiers. They're artillerymen. Okay, so now I'm just going to start talking about nonsense as I paint, just to kind of fill the dead air. Um, and while you guys watch, and of course I've got it off camera, but maybe if I scooch a little bit closer, this might help a little bit. But okay, so I've got a few things I'm going to talk about that have nothing to do with miniatures. No, that's not really true. Maybe have something to do with miniatures, but they might have more to do with just gaming in general, because this is just a gaming channel. It's just that I like to do a lot of miniatures and specifically historicals, so everybody thinks this channel is a historical miniature channel, and that's not true. It is a gaming channel. Okay, so it's not a history channel. Like, I'm not going through and studying the actual history, even though I do that, and I like to have my miniatures like historically accurate and stuff like that. But that's not what this channel focuses on. Or that's not really the plan. I could do that. I could have a video that talks about, this or that, but that's not really what this channel's about. Okay, so role-playing games, computer games. I don't know where to start or which. I have topics on both of these that I wish to talk about. So let's just talk about computer games real quick, because that's actually going to go by pretty quick. As you know, I'm playing Skyrim, right? Enjoy it, love it. I've never gotten this far in Skyrim. Everything now is new to me. It's like a first-time playthrough. The early game I had played before, but I had never gotten very far before I put it down and moved on to other things. But now I have a little bit higher attention span, and I'm really, really, really enjoying myself playing Skyrim. If you've never played Skyrim, I highly recommend it. Okay, having said that, I don't think, and this is just me being me, I don't think I would enjoy Skyrim as much as I do if I didn't mod the game. Okay, I've got, I don't know, like 30 or 40 mods. And 90% of them are appearance mods. Okay, it makes the trees look better. It makes the weather look better, like rain and snow, fog, clouds. Some of these other mods make the animations look better, like sitting and standing and working the forge, and just simple, non-important things that are modded out to make them look better has made a big impact on me in the game, because the gameplay is pretty much exactly the same, right? The button mashing and the damage of the weapons, and which weapons can be used on which monsters, and who can use what swords, or the material components to craft weapons and stuff. None of that's changed. That's all exactly the same as it's always been. But with these mods, the game looks way better, right? It looks 4K. Actually, it is 4K. And I record in 1440. So if you watch any of my Skyrim videos that I upload every day, you'll see how beautiful the game looks. Okay, so there's a couple of adventures that require. Okay, there are some mods that require you install another mod because it relies on it, like it like has a dependency on it, right? So even though you don't necessarily want that second mod, you have to have it if you want that first mod. And having said that, I've got a couple of mods that okay, like skin, right? There's some of these mods that make the skin look good for your companions or people on the street that you run into. Their skin is not old, 8-bit skin. It's now 4K or whatever. And it moves, the way it's supposed to move. And right. So by installing these mods, oh, okay, I missed a spot. See, that's what happens when you go rapid paint. You might miss something. That's why it's good to double check your work. Okay, so by installing these secondary mods, or by installing these skin mods that require these secondary mods to get everything to work the way it's supposed to work, one of the things is nudity. Like when you install this one type of skin, now whenever you remove all the armor off of somebody, like you're going to swap out armor, like chainmail for plate or something like that, when you do that, they become completely naked, right? Down to the pubic hairs and everything. Which I personally have no problem with that, right? It doesn't impact my, sensibilities. I don't go, "Oh my gosh, she's naked." No, I don't care, right? That's whatever. But when I'm streaming, or not, I don't stream, I record, because if I was streaming, I'd really run into some problems with the internet gods. So I have to record, and then I have to watch the 2-hour video and edit out any, pubic hair or whatever, nipples or whatever else might show up, a penis. I have to edit all that out, and that it's annoying, time consuming, right? To do that, it would be so much easier to have these skins that kept their underwear on. But other than that, the game looks beautiful now with these mods. The world, the plants, the trees. I installed a bunch of tree mods. If you could believe that, this is crazy. I installed grass, rocks, roads, buildings, because there are people out there that are working hard to make this game look good. And this game is over 11 years old. And there's mods being released every day for this game. And I was thinking to myself, you know, why? But then after playing it with the mods, I can see this game is fun. Uh, I'm really digging the lore and the background and the history and which is all exactly the same thing, and the character development and the monsters and the world, and I mean even getting into the story, and yeah, it's just really really fun. Okay, having said that, they came out with a game called Fallout. I know you guys have probably heard of it. And I'm not really into any post apocalyptic story of any kind. I'm really not a post apocalyptic fan, right? It just doesn't, it doesn't float my boat. I love sci fi. Yeah, yeah. I love, uh, I love monsters, horror, maybe even a little bit, but not post apocalyptic. It's just something about it that just, I don't know what it is that I just don't get into it. Um, I like zombie movies, right? But I wouldn't want to role play a game where my character is in a zombie world. I don't mind watching the show. I enjoy it. I think it's fun, but I don't want to role play that, right? And that's really what the Skyrim slash Fallout is. You're kind of role playing a character that lives in this type of a world, and that's not me. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And so this game company uh, is coming out with a new game called Starfield, right? Now that is a game that is a genre that I really love, which is uh, Traveler. If you guys know anything about my channel, you know, or my gaming, where I sit on in gaming, Traveler was my my favorite RPG for many years. And we're gonna get into this here in just a minute as well when I start talking about RPGs. But I have a ton of Traveler material, almost all of it, right? Whenever I saw a new Traveler book, I'd go out and buy it. Um, when I saw a new edition of Traveler, I'd go out and buy it. I was really big into Traveler. Um, the problem with Traveler uh, is the problem with almost all role playing games that I like is that it's too cerebral. There's too much science. It's like the Expanse, you know. There's too much science, not enough fantasy. Um, but that's why I like it. But on the flip side, um, like Starjammer or whatever, that is too much fantasy in a science fiction game. So I stuck with Traveler. Always tried to get players to like it as much as I do. I think I've got a couple of players in that I kind of converted, but overall, you have to be a smart person, or you're like really into sci-fi to like Traveler. Traveler has monsters, but they're aliens, of course. They don't call them monsters, but uh, that's not really its focus. Its focus is people on people, right? Personal interactions between good people, bad people, you know, the Empire, people just trying to just trying to make a living, etc. Right? And I kind of dig that. And that's what Starfield is supposed to be. Starfield, the computer game, coming out in the third quarter. I think they said September. I think they said September 6th. I plan on playing that. My understanding is it's Skyrim in space. So what I'm trying to do is go through this Skyrim game that I'm currently playing as far as I can get before Starfield shows up, because I will be putting down Skyrim. I'll be benching it to be able to play Starfield. Another game that's supposed to be coming out this quarter, the second quarter of this year. Whoops, might have been too much paint because I'm only painting one. I don't know. Can you hear that plane outside? I know I can. Another game's coming out is called Xenonauts 2. Okay, so if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been playing XCOM style games like XCOM. I played Phoenix Point. And I even played Xenonauts a long time ago. But Xenonauts, it's nostalgia, right? There's something about Xenonauts that I like, but there's also something about Xenonauts that I don't like. And what I don't like is that I'm realizing, it's a self-reflection, that the only reason why I like it is because of the memories I had of the 90s when I was playing XCOM. Because it reminds me a lot of that game. But the problem with that is it is a lot like that game. And that's a problem because that game had many flaws that people that play now would say it's an old game. How do I explain it? Not old as in like the graphics aren't up to date, which is also true, but the concepts, the theories, the heads-up displays, the menus, stuff like that is all outdated. They do things better nowadays, right? Things are done differently now that are done better. And so I'm afraid that I'm going to get this Xenonauts game, which I already have Xenonauts 1, and it did, I played it, but then I put it down. I never finished it. And I'm afraid that I'm going to do the same thing with Xenonauts 2. Right? Like, I feel like Xenonauts 2, from what I can tell by playing the demo and stuff like that, it's just Xenonauts 1 with the bugs fixed. You know? And then they're repackaging it and calling it Xenonauts 2. And that just, I don't know. There's just something about it. I'm not super excited about it. I am excited, but I'm not super excited. I don't know how, if I can explain it any better. Okay, got the chassis done on both of these guns. And you can see I've already got 2 paints out of the way. Okay, that paint didn't go there. This is grays, so the green is in the wrong spot. There it is. Okay. Okay, so we knocked those two out. All right. Remember, if you guys want to chat with me, drop it into the chat, and I'll try to read it when I look up every now and then. Okay, that tea is finished. Okay, but I have another tea over here. It's actually a monster. I don't know if you guys have ever drank any of the Monster iced tea, but it's actually really good. This can is a 40. I mean, this sucker is a monster-sized can, and it's also about half the price of a Monster energy drink, right? So if your Monster energy drink is like $2 to $3, this thing's only like $1.50 or something like that. And it's still an energy drink. It's still a Monster, 23 ounces. It's a monster. Yeah. Usual, and this is peach. I have other flavors, but the Monster energy drinks, this tea version, in the past, I mean, last few months, I've discovered this. I would open one, it would sit on my computer desk, and I would sip on it throughout the entire day, and it would last me a whole day. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, rapid fire. That's what we need to do. We need to continue to rapid fire. Now, I've got this model color bronze for the gun barrels, the cannons, and you'll notice I haven't touched anything else. Now, the French have in their carriages, they have these metal bands that are wrapped around the wood to keep everything nice and tight. So, and the wheels have this metal band that goes around, and the axle pins are metal. So those will all have to be painted, but that's going to happen later down the line. Actually, I'm not going to use that color to paint those. Hold on. Where is it at? Here it is. Boiler black. That's the color, and I'm not going to do it right now. That one's going to be set off to the side. But boiler black is what I use to paint like my iron pots and pans and anything that's not steel, right? I use boiler black actually to paint tank tracks, believe it or not, because it is kind of a black and not a shiny steel. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's true. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of bronze. Reaching. Okay, I get me some Liquitex matte medium. Put a drop of that in there, maybe two. There we go. And then on top of it, we'll put a couple of drops of water to thin it out. The matte medium and water, if you go excessive, will cause your paint to become transparent. So you don't want to put too much or you'll lose its opacity. but I do want to have a little bit of transparency, so I added the matte medium. But usually this bronze is so thick that that matte medium won't make a difference. And I am doing a rapid paint. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not sitting here agonizing over any mistakes. I'm flying through the coverage. I'm going to fix it in post. Aha. Dun dun dun. Next. All right, so that's the computer games, right? Oh, yeah. Computer games, more. I got one more computer game that I play quite a bit. IL2. IL2 just released their second volume of their Flying Circus, which is, World War One biplanes and the like. And volume two included a new career mode, which the World War II version already had the career mode where you could start a career in a squadron, and then it will generate your missions and give you promotions and award medals and stuff like that. And now the World War One version has that, and that's what I've been waiting for. And now that it's in the game, I'm playing quite a bit. I'll be playing some of that later this afternoon, probably. Some IL2, which pretty much I prefer World War One. I'm sorry, did I say World War Two? I prefer World War One over World War Two. So when they released the World War One career mode, I pretty much put my World War Two career on hold. But then again, my World War II career had just ended anyway. I crashed to my death. So that was like, instead of starting a new career, just, in World War II, that is, just start a new career in World War One. So that's what I did. So if I die in World War One, I'm going to continue to make World War One careers and I'm just going to keep doing it over and over and over until I get bored with World War One, and then I might go back to World War Two as a secondary alternate option or whatever. Because I do like flying like Spitfires and P-51s and stuff. I do like that. I think it's fun. It's just that the World War One is. I like World War One dogfighting. I don't know. It's just like I like the slowness of it, the slow, close, dangerous. If you dive too fast, your wings will break. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing World War One dogfighting for the near future, until Starfield comes out, I'm sure I'll be putting a lot of my time into Starfield. Okay. Now let's talk about, let's jump out of the computer games. Oh yeah, there's another computer game. I keep coming back to this. There's another computer game that I backed early access a long time ago, and I played a few games of it. I really like it, but it's an incomplete game, and so I put it on the shelf. Not to pull anything out. I don't want to play it until it's ready, because I played like 10 scenarios, and they keep putting a new scenario out like each month or whatever until completion, and that's cool. I guess I could play one scenario a month, as they build this game, but I didn't want to. And it's called The Troop. I don't know if you've ever seen The Troop, but it's kind of a turn-based, hex-based World War II game, kind of. Everything's done in 3D graphics. Hey.
Oh, hey.
You have fun?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she's gone. She'll be back Sunday night.
What's with the Jeep?
What do you mean?
The door's open.
Oh, she needed to get inside to get the title because we're going to donate it.
Okay.
The driver's side door or the passenger?
The driver's door is open.
Oh, maybe she's letting it air out because there's water in the.
Oh, okay.
In there. But they're going to come here at some time, maybe within the week, with a tow truck, and they're just going to take it. We're donating it to a school to so they can, in a shop or work on it or whatever.
Oh, like a mechanic school?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's supposed to be tax deductible, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Yeah, I've had a Jeep Cherokee here for a long time, parked. Not it hasn't moved. I tried repairing it myself, and it's just beyond my skill level. So I gave up, and it's been sitting here for years. So my wife wants to get rid of everything I own, so she told me that she found a place that will take it off of our hands. And I didn't know my wife's name was on the title until I just signed it this afternoon. Thought that was my Jeep. But that's fine. I don't care. I was thinking about breaking it down into parts and like selling the tires and selling the bits and pieces and parts off of it, like at a junkyard or something, but I haven't done it and I haven't put any effort into it, so I don't mind getting rid of it. It's an eyesore. Oh man, I forgot. I got one more cannon. Okay. It has a sunroof, and the sunroof doesn't close all the way, right? So I covered it, taped it, and sealed it. But apparently, over the years, water has gotten into the driver's side floorboard, and there's like an inch of water in there. Yeah, if you want to close that door, that'd be good. Why is it creaking like that?
Oh yeah, there's like a ton of water in there.
Yeah.
I want to tell them there's might be a few wasp nests in there too, because they like to nest in there.
Yeah, I think I saw a wasp nest in the fuel door, like behind the fuel door.
Yeah, I see them going into like the front grill too, like that area,
Huh.
like under the engine hood or something like.
Yeah, the main issue with that engine was the radiator was leaking, and I heard that was a pretty big problem with Jeeps. But I went ahead and bought a radiator. I installed it, and then I filled the radiator with water, and the water just poured out the bottom. So I don't know. There's something I didn't hook it up right. But everything works on the Jeep as far as I can tell. It's just, but it's been there forever, so I'll let them deal with it. Let them have it. I gave up. I was defeated. Okay, bronze done. Okay. Uniform gray. Do you mind if I take your car later to the bank?
Today, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, uniform gray. The two British generals and the British artillerymen. The pants. All the pants. Again, we're still in speed paint mode. And you can see how concerned I am of staying inside the lines. I'm not at all. I'm just... I primed it gray, primed all these guys gray, thinking, well, basically just knowing that gray is a good neutral color to prime. But I was hoping that it would completely cover all of their pants, and it doesn't, because I spray prime, right? And the spray prime doesn't necessarily get into all the cracks and crevices. So you've got to brush prime to get down inside, like on this guy specifically, behind his sword. He had a sword straps that hold it to the belt, and those blocked the spray primer from getting behind the sword sheath. So you see some exposed metal. really that's what I'm doing is I'm getting into the cracks, but in the meantime I'm also painting the entire pant because I want the gray colors to match the entire pants, not just certain areas where the metal is exposed. But if I miss something, like you can see the metal right there underneath the swab. If I miss something, not the metal I've got to definitely hit. But if I miss something on the gray part of the pants, it's okay because it's gray primer, and the gray primer will shine through in those areas. Or at least that's the plan, right? That's the idea. Like you can see there's metal like up underneath this guy's hands where his chin is and stuff. But we're not painting that gray. I could reach up and just paint it gray, but won't need to because I'm going to be painting those different colors anyway, so there's no need to worry about that. Okay, so let's talk about RPGs now for a second. And I don't mean rocket propelled grenades. Role playing games. I've been playing D&D for a long time. But in the meantime, while I've been playing D&D, because I started D&D in the 70s, when I discover a new role playing game or a different role playing game, I will check it out, right? And I'll look it over and I'll say, okay, this has got some good ideas and it's got some good concepts or whatever, but it's no longer in production, or it's got no support material. It's just the rule book, or it's got some good ideas, but the majority of it sucks, or it's too crazy, or it's post-apocalyptic, or it could be anything, right? There's always something wrong with the RPG, and I always tend to go back to basic games like Dungeons and Dragons, and I've explored others, but there's always been something wrong with them. Okay, and then like 2 months ago, I really started to become disenchanted with not D&D, but the company that owns D&D, Wizards of the Coast. I basically am boycotting all Wizards of the Coast products because of their woke nonsense, right? They're ideologically driven, devil worshipping ideas. So I said, I'm not going to play any of their games anymore. Now, knowing that I wasn't going to be playing any more of their games, I said, okay, well, I love role-playing games. Let's go back to an old role-playing game. Let me figure out which game. Maybe Traveler, because I love Traveler. Traveler's got its problems. You have to find people that are smart to be able to play it. that I know that's kind of like a very egotistical kind of a kind of a short-sighted, narrow-minded way to think about Traveler. Um, but I don't mean it like they're not capable of intelligent thought. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that like science, people that enjoy uh, doing math, or they care what kind of a star it is, stuff like that. That's just not for everybody, right? And that's why I think that Traveler doesn't do well. It's because uh, it's got too much of that in it. So I was kind of browsing the web, just checking out various games that I have, or games that I've always thought about getting and stuff like that. And then I saw that, or then I remembered there is a game out there, a game world, because I could still play D&D. I didn't know, not D&D, any other game like GURPS or the Palladium or something, but I needed a good world to put them in. I'm drinking quite a bit because I'm doing a lot of talking, I think. But I needed a good world to put my players in, that no matter what game system we used, we would be in an exciting world. And I remember from my childhood that there was this world that was created way back when in the 83 era, called Harn. Now, what I had known about Harn was it was just a world with all the kingdoms and like the characters that are in the kingdoms and um, the political machinations of all the kingdoms against each other, and the society and the economy, and basically just take the game out of the world. It was just a world. And I said, that would work really well. I said, okay, let me take a look at this Harn, see if it's still in production, see if I can find a copy on eBay or something like that, and maybe figure out what of my current role-playing games would work well with Harn. And so I looked it up, and I found that Harn is still in production. It's still being sold by a game company called Columbia Games, which makes a lot of other board games and stuff like that, miniature games. So I looked at Harn, and I kind of just I noticed that you could download a couple of free copies. They have their Harn Master quick start rules, right? And I was like, okay, let's check that out. And then they had a couple of kingdom modules that were abbreviated, right? They were like shortened down from like a 60-page book down to like a 20-page book, so that you could get a feel for the kingdom books. So I downloaded these, and I looked at them, and I was like super impressed with the kingdom books. I said, okay, this is exactly what I thought they would be. This kingdom, with all the people in it, the heraldry, the concepts of the religion and the everything, right? So I said, okay, this is great. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Dark Blue by Model Master. And the bottle doesn't want to open. Okay. Ah, there it goes. Okay, so I was like, you know what I need to do? This is what I like. I need to move these artillery pieces out of the way, because these guns are going to be done for a moment. I'm not going back to them for a while. So I looked it up. I looked at these Harn books, and I was pleasantly surprised with the world. Right? I was like, okay, this is a good world. I'm digging it. Right? It's very exciting. Look at that blue. That's a beautiful blue, I think. I like blue. And I can get blue on anything. It doesn't matter because it's the first color I'm putting on this guy. That means everything's going to be on top of it. I just need to make sure I get it down into all the cracks where there's any blue fabric. Now these guys have these really tall leg gaiters, so I really only have to paint down to the top of the leg gaiters. But I need to make sure that I do, so there's no gap. But even if there is, it's no big deal. Because my wash is going to resolve that. Okay, speed painting, artilleryman. Okay, so then I started to think, okay, so what kind of world, or I should say, which game do I want to use with this Harn world, right? So I said, okay, any of them really, right? Because I just needed to figure out which game mechanics, specifically combat, because you know RPGs, for me anyway, RPGs always wind up with the players killing something like a monster or another, a villain of some kind. So conflict resolution, you know, it's always a king to overthrow or something. So I said, okay, what kind of combat mechanics do I feel comfortable with? And there's a lot of games out there that have a lot of good game mechanics for combat, but also levels and skill development and you know all that kind of stuff. The magic system. I needed to figure out which system did I want to combine with my Harn world setting. And then I realized, because I downloaded it, Harn Master Quick Start was actually a rule set that talks about magic, skills, leveling, you know, clerical abilities, and combat. And so I was like, okay, let's check these out because obviously the world is called Harn, and they deliberately made a rule set designed specifically for that world. even though the world is not designed for the Harn RPG, the world is designed for any RPG. So you could use D&D or whatever with Harn, but uh, the Harn RPG was specifically designed to be used with the Harn world. So it basically only flows one way, right? So I said, okay, but let's check it out. Let's see, is it any good? And I read it, and I was like, okay, this is kind of a little confusing because they use a lot of abbreviations, right? OML, SB, EML, and I'm like, RSI, and a bunch of things, right? I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? What is this abbreviation? What is all of this? And so then I said, okay, this is probably not going to be a good RPG, right? It's too complicated. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? Let me go back and read it again, line by line. I got to give it a chance. I don't want to just give up on it because the Harn world is really good, and so maybe the RPG is good too, and I'm just stupid and can't figure it out. So I said, okay, let me kind of just go line by line, self-teach myself what they mean by this. What does this initial mean? What does this abbreviation mean? And then I kind of said, okay, why or how would this be used at the table? If this was in a game, why did they put this in the game? And how are the players going to use that to further the story? Or how am I going to, what do the monsters look like? That kind of stuff. And so I went in and I gave it a second chance. And I realized that I was overthinking it. I was bringing in preconceived notions from all my other games that this game doesn't use. This game doesn't use those concepts. They have their own ideas. And I was like, okay, whatever. Let's check it out. And then by what's the word? By clearing my thoughts, by clearing my mind and pretending that I've never played any RPGs before and just coming at it from like a novice, coming at it as a novice to role-playing games in general, I understood every word that was being said in Harn Master, which is what they call the role-playing game. So I was like, oh, this is a cool concept. And I said, okay, this is different. This is cool. Oh, I understand this. And I was like, okay, I get what they're trying to do here. And then, but I still didn't think that my players would accept the RPG. And I said, okay, let's just do this a third time. It took me 3 times. I'm going to have to tell you, honestly. I had to read the book 3 times. I'm sure I still didn't get everything. But it was slowly starting to win me over. And after I read it the 3rd time, I don't know, it was like dating someone. And after you date them long enough, you fall in love. And that's what happened to me. I dated Hornmaster, and by the end, I was in love. I understand why each rule is there, and I understand what kind of ideas or concepts they're trying to get at. And I also enjoyed how Harn World works with it really well. And I was like, oh man, this is just great. And I said, okay, this is what I will do. I said, I'll start a Harn campaign using Harn Master as the rules, and we'll go from there. So I made a conscious decision just to start a Harn campaign using the Harn Master rules. And even though I don't know everything there is to know about Harn World or Harn Master, I'm willing to immerse myself in this world and this rule set. And so I said, okay. So for the past, I'm going to say a month. For the past month, I've been reading every day something in either the rule book or the world, so that I can become knowledgeable of my game that I'm about to run. And I just realized maybe 2 or 3 days ago, even though I'd already committed to it and I've already got enough players for my campaign. We already are ready to go. Characters are made. The world is set. I'm in the middle of writing a campaign, which two things. The writing of my campaign couldn't have started until I gained enough knowledge of the world to be able to write, right? So that was part of my plan, was learn enough about this world so that I could write a campaign that could fit in the world, right? Okay, everybody understands that. So I wrote a campaign, or I'm in the middle of writing a campaign. I'm 99% done. That's not true. I've got the entire 100% of the summary done, but I've got maybe 50% of the content ready. Okay. Now on the British, they only have blue coats. Their pants are gray. I've already painted their pants. So in this case, I'm going to have to concern myself of actually what I'm painting. These, I didn't have to concern myself at all. I could just paint their entire... I could have spray painted them blue. It probably would have been better. But I didn't. So when I paint these guys, I'm going to have to stay from the waistcoat up. But everything above the waistcoat can be painted. That's not a problem. And I'm using like a 5 or a 6.0 brush. I mean, this sucker's just a 6, not a 6.0. It's like a giant brush. Okay, so I'm writing my adventure, and just a couple of days ago, I realized the rule book for Harnmaster has rules for everything that I need to do, right? As an RPG, it has It has skills. It has combat. It has die rolls. It has magic. It has religion. It has equipment price lists. It has everything you need. But what I realized, the point I'm trying to get to, all of this content it even has rules for generating the background of your character, right? And that's actually a big chunk of the character creation process, is determining where you came from and where you're going. But the point I don't know, I keep avoiding the point, but this is all done in just the whole rule book is just a few pages. $60 pages, maybe, something like that. $10 of it is probably background. $10 of it is probably magic. $20 of it or so is skills. Yeah, it's like it's very dense content. But it's not a whole lot of pages. So Harnmaster does in one little book, and I unfortunately am going to compare this to Dungeons and Dragons. What D&D does in two books, the Player's Handbook and the DMG. You get a complete role-playing game in one book. Now, the monsters, you do get monsters in the Harnmaster book, but it's a limited selection. But you could technically get the Harnmaster rulebook and play a game with no problem. That's kind of not true, actually, to be honest. Something that Harn does that I kind of don't like is they will hide rules in other books. So if you don't have that second book, then you don't have those rules. Specifically, magic and religion, clerics. So if you don't have those second and third books, then you don't have any magic or religion. You know what the religions are, and you know what the magic is and how to create a wizard, but you don't have any spells, or you don't have any details of the gods. I kind of don't like that. But I understand it. And by splitting the rules up into their own books, you make it easier for someone to pick up like one book a month. They can decide what rules they want and what rules they don't want, because they only buy what they need. And it makes your main core rule book thinner and cheaper. Like I was saying, you get everything you need in the rule book, except for a couple of minor things. And that's what I was realizing. I was realizing that there's actually a lot less rules in Harnmaster than in a game like D&D, right? I have always thought that D&D 5th edition was good because it was easy to learn and easy to play. But having fully understood Harn, I mean, it did take me a while. It took me 3 attempts to read it. But now I'm looking back at it and I'm saying, Harn is way easier. There is going to be a part of Harn that there's two things in the Harn Master RPG that's going to be hard to get around, or hard to it's going to be hard on the players, let's say it that way. Combat is brutal. Not that, oh no, people are dying. No. I mean, that happens in any RPG, right? You roll some dice, you do some damage, people die. That's what's supposed to happen when you enter combat, right? But in Harn, you don't just die. You get injured. You don't just get injured, you get severely injured. Arms cut off. Legs lopped off. Well, let's not talk about the head, but yeah, head severed. A long rest, 24 hours, is not going to heal you. Right? You go into a dungeon. First of all, there's nothing really called a dungeon except for the jail beneath the keep. You know, not some place where orcs hang out. That's not a dungeon. But let's just say you get into a fight with an orc He hits you once, causes a big gash in your leg. Doesn't sever it, but it is called an injury. Anything that causes any damage in combat is an injury. Your body just got damaged. Right? And so the fight is over, the orc is dead, and you're sitting there with this giant gash in your leg. Now, in D&D, what would you do? Hey guys, let's sit here for an hour. I'll roll some hit dice and I'll get all my hit points back. That's what players are going to be used to. But if you put that into any kind of reality, and RPGs are supposed to have realism so that characters can immerse themselves, players can immerse themselves into the character's world. You can't sleep for a day and then have your body completely healed. That's not the way the world works. So how do they get rid of it? Well, they find a physician, or they do it themselves. They treat the wound, which might be just putting a bandage on it. It could be surgery. There's a lot of different things depending on the type of wound. It will have a different type of treatment. If it's a minor wound, the treatment is probably just cleaning it and bandaging it. And then it requires inactivity, like bed rest. And at the end of a 5-day period of inactivity, you get to roll to see if the wound heals and how much of it heals. More severe wounds take more than one roll. Some take 2 or 3 rolls, but you only get to roll once every 5 days. So it is possible that that one orc hits you one time, cuts your leg, and now you're going to be injured. Well, first of all, you're going to be injured forever unless you get your wound treated. Let's say you go out and get your wound treated by a skilled physician. You're still going to be out of it for 5 days. I don't think the players are prepared for that. I know as a game master, I'm not prepared for that. Now, do I think just curling up into a ball and sleeping 24 hours should heal you? No, I don't think it should. Not like D&D where you get all your hit points back and short rests, you can heal some during short rests and stuff like that. I think that is way too fast. but I think Harn Master is way too brutal. I'm going to use a system that's somewhere in between, just so everybody knows. I'm thinking of allowing the medicine roll or the healing injury roll to be done every day. Right? So someone that's been treated well and is hanging out under like medical care and has a wound of 2 or 3 can get rid of it in 2 or 3 days. I think that's a good way. That's probably a little faster than reality, right? Because I was doing a little, because I thought it was a little too brutal. I went online and went to some medical websites to see how long it takes for a gash to heal, and they're saying 14 days. Most cuts on a human being take 14 days to heal. So Harn is actually being generous by saying 5 days. But because it's an RPG and you want your heroes to be just that, you want them to be heroes, or at least I do. I don't want them to be bedridden for 14 days. I know I've seen some streams where players say that they played Harn and they got injured and they were bedridden for a number of days, and they got to know their captors, or they got to know their physicians or any other people that are injured with them in the infirmary, and they built up bonds and stuff like that. And I love that. And I think that's really a good tale to tell. But I'm not prepared mentally to have a player sit on his butt for a month role playing with the physician for a month. I don't want to run a game like that. For 1 or 2 days? Sure, that sounds doable. Now, the way I'm going to justify it is, and my players are just going to have to suck this up, it's a fantasy world. There, that's my answer. No, the people live in this fantasy world where, first of all, there's different types of medicine, like maybe certain plants or herbs or whatever are being used, which might have stronger healing properties. So And everybody knows, use the dragonfly plant or whatever. I'm just making something off the top of my head. But everybody knows you rub this into the wound and it speeds recovery or something, right? And then also the players, or I shouldn't say the players, like everybody on the world is they're not earth humans, they're Harn humans. Right? Their metabolism or their healing rates are faster than Earth. You know, they're built out of hardier stock or whatever. You know, they're just more rugged because they have to live in that kind of a world where, you know, they just naturally evolved to be stronger because there are monsters in the world. You know, like orcs or whatever. So evolution has caused them to heal faster. And the medicines are, I'm not going to say better, but maybe they have more magical properties to them or something that allows the characters to heal faster. That's how I'm going to justify it. Because I don't want my players in the middle of a major campaign scenario where they, you know, are supposed to, I'm just going to throw this out there. Maybe they're supposed to go fight some undead creature in one town, and then they fight him, and they find that he had summoned this powerful demonic creature in the next town that's killing off all the people in that town. Now the players are bedridden for a week because they had to fight some skeletons. And they're unable to go to the second town to fight off this demon. That's no fun, right? And I don't want to write a story that says, "Oh, you fight these skeletons, and you find out that this demon is going to show up on this next town in a month from now, and so you have some time to heal before running over to that next town." No, I'm not going to write a story like that. Got to be pressing. Got to be important. It's got to be now. Now, I also don't want to write a story that's like, rub some dirt on it and then we'll go fight this demon. No, I don't want to do that either, because I want the players to have to make a decision. Are we going to spend the night here to heal? Or are we going to go over to this next town with our injuries to fight this demon? So there has to be some kind of decision making. Without decision making, then it'll start to feel like a railroad. And I don't want a railroad. Well, I want a railroad, but I know my players don't want a railroad. I want there to be choices, but I want the choices to be meaningful. Not, okay, there's a demon in the next town, and he'll be there no matter how long it takes you to get there. If you go there right now, he'll be there and if you go there in a month, he'll be there. I don't want to do that. That'll make it feel like an MMO, and I don't want that. Like, there's a demon in the next town. You go there now with your injuries. Maybe you'll save some people. And they decide, okay, we're too injured. We wouldn't be able to take on this demon. We're going to have to spend the night, heal up a little bit, and then go. And they do. And then when they get there, half the village is destroyed because this demon has been running roughshod over the village. That's what I want. I want them to make a decision and then have there to be consequences based on those decisions. But if I say your injuries are super severe and it takes like a month for them to heal, they're going to be like, well, I guess we're waiting a month. But if it only takes one day, now they have to make a decision. Are we going to wait just one day because that's not a very long amount of time? Or are we going to go against the demon? Right? So by making healing faster, it makes it a viable option. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well, but those are the kinds of thoughts that go through my mind. Now, in the game, there's this thing called a healing potion. It is weak as fuck. I don't even know why they have it in the game. It's pretty sorry. But rules as written. That's the raw, right? RAW. Rules as written. The rules as written for injury, I've kind of already gone over, right? It's about a week to get rid of one of your injury points. And what that healing potion does, it gives you a plus to the healing roll at the end of the week. So it doesn't do anything for you but give you a plus. So, and you still could fail it catastrophically, or you could, it just gives you a better chance to succeed or to critically succeed, which usually means getting rid of 1 or 2 levels of injury. I don't really like that. I mean, I think that's a good healing concoction, but I'm coming up with new healing potions that I think will be more meaningful. Okay, so if I'm allowing a healing roll every day, which I'm going to allow a healing roll every day to get rid of injuries. I think a healing potion like that would be valuable because it gives you a plus to that healing roll. I think that's great. But if I compare it to the in-game, or I should say the rules as written, if I compare it to that, it would be considered still weak. Okay, so I want to have more powerful healing potions that either allow an immediate healing roll, like you drink it, you make a healing roll. I think that's pretty awesome. I think another potion, it might be even more powerful. You drink it, it automatically removes an injury. I think that's really good. So there's 3 healing potions right there. You got the automatic wound removal, and that can be leveled. I could have a healing potion that removes 4 injuries or whatever. And then I've got the so that's automatic removal, immediate roll, and then pluses to roll. So I think we got a good variety of healing potions, even though there's only one written in the book that I found, and that gives you a plus at the end of the week. I don't want to do that. I think that's too weak. So now what I got to do is just put those to paper. All right, guys. Well, that's where we're going to stop today. It's been a couple hours. Okay, I can't see my monitor because I'm using my painting glasses. So let's see here. I don't see any chats. Nothing popped up. And that's fine. It is 3 o'clock. This is a good time. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to you guys. This is what I'm working on this week. I should have these up on the store sometime this week. Maybe by Wednesday I'll have these done. I was hoping to get a little bit further on them today, but and you notice how that blue is very shiny. I don't know if you can see that, but it is extremely shiny. But that's okay because I'm going to go over this. I go over all my models with like a varnished dull coat anyway, so I don't mind using gloss. Normally, also, this is a little inside baseball. Normally, gloss paint is a stronger bond, right? It normally has not a better adherence, more durability. That's what I'm looking for. It's usually more durable if handled a lot. So, just FYI on that. Okay, I only have this many more to go. Flesh is always a good one. I still need to put blue on the Generals jackets. So let's keep that out just because I do have to do blue on the Generals jackets. Also, before I let you guys go, I know everybody just dropped out of the channel, but be sure to go check out. Why is my CPU so high? Normally it's only 2 or 3%. I'm sitting at 6% or 10%. Okay, so check out the eBay store. My prices in April have dropped. I've taken like maybe 20% off of all my product. So I'd recommend going and checking that out. Like I had some D&D models on there for $4. They're now on there for $2. That's like a 50% off. So yeah, so some of the things you get some really good deals this month, April, and I highly recommend taking advantage of that. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Hit your notification icon if I upload any more videos off schedule or anything like that. I am currently uploading Harn. We're gonna some videos, updates, stuff like that. That's going to be from time to time. I'm probably going to talk about injuries in my next Harn video. So I think I am. I need to put that on my schedule. I am going to do that tonight probably while it's fresh in my mind, while I'm actually typing up the actual potions and the healing times rules. But I'm also going to put like campaign updates and stuff like that up. But our campaign doesn't actually start until May 3rd. So check that out. May 3rd, 7 p.m. Is when our first game is going to start. And then I'm playing Skyrim. I love it. I'm going to continue playing it unless I either beat it or Starfield comes out. Starfield's not supposed to be till September, so at least I got that long. Xenonauts 2, when that comes out, I'm sure I'm going to play it a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. I noticed there's a lot of good changes. I've seen in the demo there were some good changes from Xenonauts 1 to 2, but I don't know if it's big enough changes to really draw me in. And IL-2, I'm playing a ton of World War I. Currently, I'm flying a career with the number 10 Royal Naval Air Service in Sopwith triplanes. That's the career, and later on, as the career progresses, we'll eventually get camels. That's my understanding. But if I die in this career, my next career I start is going to be a World War I as well. I might switch sides, play some Albatross. I don't know. They did advertise Flying Circus 3 should be coming out by the end of the year, and it's supposed to have earlier warplanes, and I will jump onto those as well. Like Newport 17s. I can't wait to fly a Newport 17. That would be awesome. What else? Yeah, well, that's all I can think of right now. I'm sure there's more. But remember, every Sunday I record a weekly 10-minute video talking about what's on the table for the store, what I finished and put on the shelf. It also talks about any materials that I received or any painting supplies or, work supplies. And that's really just a quick 10-minute update just to show you what's up. Unlike this video, which is me actually doing it on camera and talking about stuff like harm. Okay, well, I'm going to let you guys go. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.